I always found it sus that these kids go to an estate, they dance at that said estate, and there are a lot of adults around them, like celebrities and influencers. And I'm always thinking, like, where exactly are the responsible adults in that situation who are there to look after them and make sure that nothing untoward happens to them, right? More specifically, the TikTok page of the said ambitious high school in Pretoria, is that TikTok page owned by the school or owned by someone outside of the school? And if it is owned by someone in the school, do the kids sign any form of a release agreement?
I just know whoever runs Christian Progressive College in Pretoria knows a lot about the K-pop industry, has been studying the K-pop industry, and is like, let me bring my own version.
I can't enjoy watching these kinds of videos anymore after seeing that TikTok exposing what really happens in those schools. I just saw this TikTok about the truth behind those schools that always post videos online of children dancing, gaining close to 10,000 likes. You see, when we raised concerns about those schools and why they were always dancing on TikTok, they called us haters. Now look at everything that's unfolding. A 360 deal for a 13-year-old is absolutely diabolical. I just came from their TikTok right now, and what do you mean that a school posted this kind of video? But you're probably asking yourself, what exactly has been going on? What is the school that's being talked about, and what video are people constantly talking about? Well, on the 27th of February, a guy on TikTok who goes by the name of Sia would reveal some shocking things about a well-known school in Pretoria. And the things he would reveal in this video absolutely took everybody by surprise because of all the videos we keep seeing online of these children seemingly enjoying what they're doing. However, little do we know that behind their smiles in these dance videos, an exploitation ring is pretty much controlling everything behind the scenes.
I know you didn't ask, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. There's a school here on TikTok that's always dancing. You've probably wondered when these kids actually learn. They recruit them, give them bursaries, turn them into TikTok stars, and then they own them for 5 years minimum. I got my hands on a contract that was sent to me, and what I'm about to show you is one of the most concerning agreements I've ever seen. They call it a bursary. It sounds generous, right? Free education, free accommodation, food, clothing. But the contract states in clause 3.3, all bursary related costs are fully sponsored by the school/label and are recoupable. That means, according to this contract, it's not a gift, it's treated as a loan. Every meal, every night's accommodation, school uniform. The contract allows the school to keep a tab running. And according to this agreement, the child has to pay it back through labor, image, and earnings for years.
Now, you're probably wondering to yourself, like many people, what does the school mean which they'll take care of not only your school fees but also accommodation? Where are these kids staying where the school is pretty much willing to pay their monthly rent? Well, after doing some research, the answer is pretty shocking because there's a constant estate that keeps coming up in a number of these videos, and this might give us the first clue of where exactly these kids have been staying for the duration of making these videos. Now, of course, I don't actually have any proof that this estate is where these children are staying, but it is quite interesting, Wuti. A majority of the videos they take dancing do happen within this estate, and it would make sense now that the school also takes care of accommodation because there's some type of K-pop ring happening in this school.
Clause 4.1, this agreement shall remain in force for fixed term of 5 years. Your 13-year-old signs this, they're locked in until they're 18. But wait, it gets worse. 4.2, upon completion of grade 12, the school or label have an option to re-sign or renew the learner/artist for a minimum period of 3 years. So that's 8 years minimum if the school decides they are profitable. And clause 4.4, until expiry or written clause, the learner/artist remains contractually bound. Translation, your child is property for nearly a decade, starting as a minor.
Now, obviously, the issue with this is quite glaring. The fact that the people who have to sign these contracts are children. But you're about to see, Wuti, this unfortunately gets a lot worse than you can imagine.
Clause 5, post-matric album obligation. After your child writes matric, they must deliver one full studio album to the school, commercially acceptable, meaning the school decides if it's good enough. Only after delivering this album can your child elect to exit. But remember clause 5.3, exit shall only be permitted once all obligations and recoupment requirements are met. So your 18-year-old writes matric, delivers an album, and still can't leave until the school says the debt is paid. This is how they extend the contract beyond 5 years.
But before we move on to the money side, I just want to let you know why this is so sinister. Because by taking over, paying for accommodation as well as school fees, the school pretty much secures the fact that you'll be indebted to them as long as you're still in school. This is why this is so sinister. It's not like you stayed at a place and if you make enough money and you can pay off for where you stayed. If you continue to stay in a place monthly, they keep taking and taking and taking until they pretty much own you. However, it gets a lot darker than
Now
that.
let's talk money, because this is where it gets evil. Clause 6.2, digital sales split. The child gets 10%. 10%. Ema. Clause 6.3, payment commences only after full recoupment of expenses. So the school adds up everything and the child doesn't see a cent until all is paid back. And who decides when it's all paid back? The school. Then clause 7.1, until recoupment, the split is 70% to the school, 30% to the child. So if your child generates 100,000 in bookings, the school takes 70,000 Rand. Your child gets 30,000 Rand. That 30,000 Rand goes towards recoupment first. So actually your child gets nothing until the school says the debt is cleared. Clause 8, endorsements and sponsorships. The school negotiates everything. Your child can't do deals independently, and the split 50-50 after expenses. So if Coca-Cola wants to sponsor your child for 500,000 Rand, the school takes 250,000 Rand. And guess what counts as expenses? Whatever the school says. Marketing, management, development costs. All deducted before the split. Your child's face is worth 500,000 Rand. The school takes half, then deducts expenses. Your child might see 50,000 Rand if they're lucky. And remember, this is after recoupment. So that 50,000 Rand also goes towards paying back the bursary.
You see, unfortunately, the problem with all of this is we've seen this before. I mean, whether you're talking about the K-pop industry or even the boy band industry in America, the pattern remains the same. The exploitation of musicians in South Africa has been an ongoing discussion for years. Whether you look at people like Zahara or even legends like Brenda Fassie, exploitation in the music industry seems to be par for the course. And the issue is we don't recognize when history repeats itself all over again. You see, as somebody who was actually once in the school, I can tell you, Guti, times were a lot simpler when I was still a student. In fact, that sentiment would also be echoed by a comment under this video saying, Guti, this school used to be such a good school in the early 2000s. I wonder what exactly happened. And of course, everything in this video is alleged, so pretty much take everything you see with a grain of salt. But we do need to start asking questions of whether or not this is the best thing for these children, especially in the long run. If being an influencer is going to take over your entire life and you're pretty much bound to these contracts, it does hurt your future prospects. Do you maybe want to become a doctor? Do you maybe want to study medicine? Do you want to become a lawyer? Well, all of this is going to play a role in that. Because so long as you're in the school, so long as you're still a learner, you have to keep making these dance videos. You have to keep releasing music. You're pretty much a slave to this system and you've got nowhere to go. That's obviously going to affect your academic performance. It's going to affect your marks. It's going to also affect your long-term future. People all over the internet are rightfully angry as what they see as child exploitation. However, it would mean nothing if our anger starts and ends on social media. Of course, it's all fun and games now. It's all smiles and dances because the children don't know any better. But in a few years to come, after some reflection, after decisions have turned wrong, are we possibly going to be seeing a Netflix documentary? Will these children regret that their parents ever allowed them to sign such contracts? But most importantly, at that point, would it be too late?